Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Since 1947, no chapel has existed at Camp Gruber. Now, reflecting the design of World War II era facilities, but with the efficiencies, comfort, and amenities of 2012, one has arisen.
So, and $2.2 million, just a little over $2.2 million if it would have been bid out. So we raised right at $1 million in cash, and the rest was volunteer labor, donated and discounted materials, and services discounted. And so there's not a federal or state dollar in here, nowhere.
By the authority invested in me by the state of Oklahoma and as a minister of the gospel, I now pronounce you husband and wife.
A chapel presence was renewed with a renewal of wedding vows by Lieutenant Colonel Billy and Carla Robison after 30 years of marriage. Only 4 days earlier, it was still a vacant shell with furnishings and electrical systems still being constructed.
The general was, I believe, he said he was actually out here thinking about how bad they needed a chapel, and he got a call the next day from Governor Fallon, and she said, let's get a chapel built. And but with the governor and General Deering both working on it, it took legs and just took off.
I mean, we had, when they put the walls out here, we had 150 people laying on that wall. It did it from the first wall was put up on the 28th of November. By the 28th of October. By the 6th of November, it was in the dry. So they could work all on the inside.
In its heyday of the 1940s war years, Camp Gruber had 14 chapels on its sprawling training facilities. In 1943, now retired Army First Sergeant Paul Pickens anointed a new base chapel with a pageantry of his own wedding as a fresh-faced sergeant and his new bride.
I had a great surprise, though. But I come to find out after it's all over with it, since this was the very first wedding of the division, this brass showed up to get their name in the book attending this wedding. You know?
Fittingly, 70 years later, another new Camp Gruber Chapel was anointed with the pageantry of a marriage, now 30 years running, by the fresh faces of Colonel Robinson and his bride.
So many of them go through so many hard times with broken families, broken, just personal issues, and they need a place that they can go to speak with someone as a counselor.
And also a place to worship God. And that's an important part of the training of our military and who we are as the United States of America.
A chapel on a military installation is a critical place. We, as soldiers, we base our actions off our faith. It becomes especially important in combat. The infantry brigade just came from Afghanistan, where we had soldiers in combat. We lost soldiers. We had soldiers wounded. Your spiritual faith is very important, and a soldier needs a place that the chapel affords to express that faith.
Soldiers risk their mortal lives in the defense of God and country. Whether in the joys of weddings and family, the stress of crisis counseling, or the tears of final rites, the chaplaincy in their chapel facilities, as initiated by the first Commander-in-Chief, George Washington, will always be at the core of the United States Armed Forces, as is the new chapel now at the core of Camp Gruber.
'Twas grace that brought my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first began.